Hey church family, I'm Austin. Hope you're having a great week and making plans to join us Sunday as Pastor Mark begins our new sermon series, Unshakable Joy, in the book of Philippians. It's going to be an awesome day, so don't miss it. But today in our daily Devo, we're in Philippians chapter 119, verses 9 through 16. And I hope you've already had a chance to read the passage. I'm going to share with you a verse that really stood out to me and some thoughts on it. So that verse is verse 11. It says, I've hidden your word in my heart that I might not sin against you. And I started thinking that hiding God's word in our heart, it doesn't happen by osmosis or by accident. It's a deliberate process, and it takes effort from us to hide God's word into our heart. And it made me think actually of something I used to do when I was a kid. See, when I was a kid, I was obsessed with baseball. I wanted the Atlanta Braves or whatever other team that was playing baseball to be on the TV 24 hours a day. And as you can probably imagine, that's not necessarily what my parents or sister were looking for. My parents wanted to watch the news, or my sister watch whatever kids show that she was watching at the time. So what I would do is I would take the remote and I would hide it. I can remember hiding it under a couch cushion and one time even hiding it in the fireplace. And I would hide it so that they couldn't find it, and so that I would know where it was when I needed it. And in a much more serious sense, I think that it can apply to our spiritual lives. See, when the devil tries to tempt us to sin against God, which as believers we strive not to do, we have God's word hidden in our heart. We've hidden it away deep in our heart so that we can fight off that temptation and be victorious over it. And you might say, that's great. Yeah, hide God's word in your heart. I get it. But what are the action items for me to do that? And I think this passage tells us that as well. See, in verse 12, it says, praise be to you, O Lord. Teach me your decrees. Teach me implies that there's learning. We need to learn God's word, to memorize it. Verse 13 says, with my lips, I recount all the laws that come from your mouth. Speaking God's word out loud over your life, claiming his promises, speaking his word out loud, another way to hide it in your heart. Verse 14 says, I rejoice in following your statutes as one rejoices in great riches. To rejoice in God's word, to be happy about it, to thank God that his word is true, and thank him that we have access to that. And then finally in verse 15, it says, I meditate on your precepts and consider your ways. To meditate on God's word, to memorize a verse in the morning and just think about it. Let it roll through your head over and over again. And where it says, I consider your ways. In another translation, it says to contemplate your ways, which could be bouncing ideas off other believers, right? Iron sharpening iron, and getting godly counsel, sharing what God revealed to you from his word with other believers. I think these are all practical ways that we can hide God's word in our heart. So just like I hid the remote from my family, I hope in a much more serious and much more important sense that you will hide God's word in your heart so that when temptation comes along, you can access it and you can fight off temptation and be victorious. God's word is alive and active, sharper than any two-edged sword, and may we hide it in our hearts so that we can continue to grow in our faith and fight off the temptation that the devil brings. Hope you have a great day, church family. We'll see you soon.